rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Let the roll call show that 3 board members are present. Kyle is absent. First is the approval of the agenda. First by Heather. Discussions or questions? Is there a second? Second by David. All in favor? Oh, okay. Motion passes 3-0. Next is the informational items, spotlight report. The 2020 to the 2022 Stillwell Award receipt.
Board members and guests, we have a special presentation this evening that we are very excited to share with you. The Kentucky Department of Education is recognizing key education technology staff from Kentucky school districts for their dedication and support of education technology during the COVID pandemic from March 2020 to March 2022 by selecting them as recipients of the Stillwell Award. This award's 2-year time frame recognizes the unique circumstances that came from the pandemic and the crucial role technology staff and faculty played in supporting Kentucky's educational system. The Stillwell Award is named after the late William Bill E. Stillwell, a longtime faculty member at the University of Kentucky's College of Education, who worked diligently throughout his career to improve Kentucky's K-12 educators' access to modern technology. So we have 5 individuals from our district that are receiving this award. I will read their names in just a second, but first, on a personal note, I would just like to say that during the pandemic, we had some key folks who were absolutely indispensable. I feel like we made the best of a difficult situation, and if it were not for some of the folks we're recognizing this evening, our students would have suffered. So I cannot say enough about these individuals and the support that they gave our teachers and our kids. The recipients we have with us this evening: B.B. Mosier, Angela Jackson, Mindy Drohan, and Tracy Bazika. Maggie Zumwalt, who's no longer with us, is also a recipient. But B.B., Angela, Mindy, and Tracy, if you would like to come up, I have these awards for you this evening. All right, who's going to be a photographer here? Jason?
Lindsay will.
All right, come up and join you. Come on, Jason.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Like Dr. Baker said, I'd like to thank you all on behalf of the board. You guys did great. I know that was a lot of challenging things thrown at you guys very quickly, so we appreciate you guys. We know you guys are putting in a lot of work. So as usual, if you guys have something to do and you need to go, I know fall break is quickly approaching. If you have anything to do, feel free, you can leave now.
I thought you guys were going to take it with you.
Not that you're also fascinating.
Oh, it's riveting.
All right, next is the principals, the ECC, and the bridge report. Luke, you want to start?
Good evening, board. It's good to see you all again here. Just a couple things from my report. Typically, in the past, I've had a map report to give you at this time. We are in the middle of our map window. We actually shifted that up this year, and that was through the help with some of our folks at the district office, as well as some conversations that we were having at the school, where we're trying to align the window of when we take map to when they reference their norms. So that way, when we get our information on how our students are performing compared to the national performance, we'll have better data for that. So I'm excited about that. Over fall break, that's going to be one of my little things on my, big things to do on my list is to kind of go through all that data and geek out it like I do, and I'll bring it back to you at the end of the month. Other big stuff that's happened since we last saw you all. We have 136 students in kindergarten on that first day of school. We're currently at 140, and we are growing. So some of our other grade levels, it's not on your report, but just to go over those. Our grade level cap with 6 teachers in kindergarten through 3rd grade is 144. In kindergarten, we're still under that cap. In 1st grade, we're at 151. So we're at seven students in there. In 2nd grade, we're at 147. Those are our 2 grade levels that were over cap. In 3rd grade, we're at 143, so we're getting close. And then 4th grade, 155 is our student number, but with the increase in cap size when they go to 4th grade, we have up to 168 on that one. So we got some room there in 4th grade, but we are growing. We enrolled, I think there was 1 new kid today, and it was 2 just a couple days ago, and it seems to be every week we're getting another 1 or 2 kids, sometimes 3. Also, other important stuff there at the bottom, just the dates. We were able to do our fall festival this past Friday. I think it was maybe the biggest we've ever had. Normally they'll park on our side of the street, but we had people parking on the other side of the street. I feel really bad because we don't own that property, but I mean, I think the people that live there now kind of just expect it at this point in the year. October 24th will be our book fair and Red Ribbon Week. That's always a fun time at the elementary school. We do a lot of fun, kind of special days for the kids to dress up, and we're working with our PTA on that. We're going to have a trunk or treat at the complex on October 29th, and Kyle Bennett was gracious enough to work with us to be able to do that. That's a really cool thing for our community because a lot of our folks that live in the more rural areas of our district and have neighborhoods to be able to go trick or treating. So to be able to offer a safe location for kids to come and kind of still have that experience. Something that's exciting. And it's not on your report, but we do have 2 AR nights that will be coming up on November 10th. They're math and reading nights. We've kind of combined them. On November 10th, we'll have 3rd and 4th grade, and then on December 1st will be K1 and 2. Like we did last year, we kind of split them just because of our size to be able to make that manageable within the building. But we're very excited to offer those events. And I don't know what our theme is on December 1st, but I know on November 10th, it's a Veterans Day theme, which, you know, I got a lot of events in my family. That one kind of gets me in the heart. That's all I have. Any questions for me? Elementary school?
I just have one question about the trunk or treat. Why was that moved to the complex? To accommodate more people?
Accommodate more people in parking space. Yeah. They have way more parking than we have. And I think we'll be able to control where they park and where the kids are going, you know, whereas we're limited in our bus loop, and then we're gonna have people parking on the road again. Kyle was very gracious to say, yeah, we use that. It shouldn't be much of a thing at the complex, it'll be in the parking lot.
I have a question. 1st grade's over by 7. At what point in time do we start the conversation for another teacher?
Whenever you're ready.
We have discussed multiple options. One of our options right now is that if we were to hire a 7th or 1st grade teacher, we don't have any place to put. So I've discussed options with Luke, obviously, and Colin, with Rob, with Kevin, and we are currently looking at options. I will say that the site-based council at the elementary does have the latitude to move that cap from 24 students per classroom to a little higher. That's not ideal because there's not an instructional assistant in every classroom. It's also, if we add a position at this point in the school year, it means we have to displace some students, which is not a popular decision with parents. At the same time,
Neither is 27 kids at a time.
correct. If we add a position and just put the new enrollees in there, we're paying a teacher a full salary to have a very small number of students. So there's really no ideal option for this. But I'll just say I've been in contact with one of the teachers at the elementary, and we discussed that, and we're keeping a very close eye on that, and I'll try to give you some options.
I mean, we thought about a split class, I know it's not fun either, but look at the K numbers keep growing, and then you take those first graders.
That's one of the things we discussed, yes. And I would add, Luke, and I can't recall, I sent it to the board a couple weeks ago. In your first grade, the number of out-of-district students is a very small number. So this is not something that we've done to ourselves by accepting an
It's just a
excessive
big
number.
class.
That's what I was gonna ask, do we know how many of those first graders are new to the school this year that are in district? Like, do we?
I can find that number out for you and send that to you. Cindy, our registrar, keeps all that.
And like, has it been a trend, like, you know, like, they can't get in first grade, or kindergarten, so they move it to the district in first grade, and now our first grade numbers are becoming?
No, I can tell you that the kids that are coming in are not ones that were not getting in as kindergartners as out of the district. I can't take a single name. In fact, if they are able to prove that, hey, this residency is going to happen, then we try to work with the families. In fact, one of our kindergarten families that we did take in, that was what happened. It happened 2 weeks after school, and they were in the house. So technically, it goes in as an out-of-district acceptance, but no, the names that are coming are all new names. We're getting a lot of people that are coming from out of state. So we had our new student orientation back in August, and I just made a joke of meeting the new families, like, oh, you came from Montana, all the way from Montana to come to Verona. And I had one of the families say, no, we actually did that. We have friends that live in the area, and we knew we wanted to come to Cincinnati area, but we came here specifically. So we are having people that are moving in from out of state and from all over.
When we're continuing to add students throughout the year, I assume those are students who are in district. We're not adding out-of-district
No.
students throughout the year, correct?
No, the out-of-district cutoff is technically 2 weeks after the first day of school. But we really get to a point once I get so many applications and looking at our employee kids where we don't technically cut people off before that, but they will call me and I'll say, here's what I'm looking at, the numbers are big, you can apply, but just here's your fair warning that we're out of space.
Well, I'm glad to hear the conversations are being had, because I'm sure it's coming sooner than later. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Troy, welcome.
Welcome.
I almost forgot what you look like.
Me too. Sometimes. Today was certainly a busy day. We had our safety audit today, went well, but it was busy. We had 11 people in the district today, kind of eyeballing what we do, so we'll get more of that next month. But the good news is people are coming here. I mean, our numbers are growing too. We had, I'm sitting here thinking, it seems like every other day at the middle school I'm seeing a new kid. Yesterday we had a new enrollee, so they're coming here, and we got more land for them to build and grow on, so they're going to keep coming. In our middle school report, I have two things there. I'm going to spotlight PBIS rewards program. A couple of years ago, we kind of implemented PBIS, and that's positive behavior interventions and supports. We this year have started the rewards part of that, and we're at the very infancy of that, where students collect points for doing positive things. And that's the whole point of it is let's catch these kids doing something good. We expect that. That's walked grown away. But we need to start rewarding these kids for doing that. The elementary has done that for years, and that kids know that program. They know that protocol. Hey, I got points. I'm going to buy stuff from the store. So we're starting to implement that. And man, it's the buy-in from teachers, custodians. I'm seeing Rodney in the cafeteria going, give that kid a point. You know, he's helping clean up. That's a good feeling when you hear that. So we're at the very beginning stages of that. We're going to, build up our store and then get the donations and start that process of rewarding kids with that. And we can do that with dances. We can do that with dodgeball tournaments. We can do that with activities, not just physical items. So that's new for us. But the whole PBIS thing it's there. It's our building. When you come in our building, you see the signs. Those signs are there to remind kids of what our PBIS goals are in the building, and they're working. They're working. You'll see more kids walking. Something as simple as walking on the right side of the hallway. That's part of our system. So that's one thing. The second thing, and then I guess if you have any questions at the end, I'll have to jump in on that. E-Pass program we adopted from the high school. Started this last year. And basically, it's a system where kids can request hall passes within the classrooms. Teachers can set their hall pass to auto-approve. That means that it's automatic. The teacher doesn't have to do anything, but the kid has to raise their hand, of course. That whole process is the same. The other part of the process is kid puts in the hall pass, the teacher sees it on their computer, and accepts it, the kid goes to the bathroom. What it does, it doesn't prevent kids from going to the bathroom whatsoever. What it does for us, it can limit how many kids are in the hallway in the bathroom at one time. We're seeing our numbers with restroom write-ups already, and hallway write-ups go down. Because what we're doing is we're limiting the number of kids, because if you're in 5th grade, you have no idea, your door's shut and locked like it should be. You have no idea that the class beside you is sending out a kid, the class beside them is sending out a kid, and it just trickles down. And now you still don't have that idea of who's sending to the restroom, but what you do know, if the restroom pass is not approved, it may say, there are no restroom passes available at this point. So what that tells you is, to the teacher, to the kid, is there's the limit has been set, and we've achieved that limit for the number of kids in the hallway. The accountability for students, it's there, it's built in. So I'm loving the program already. But it is just a way to track what we're going to do at the first, 4.5 and 9 week period. We're going to start tracking that to see what our numbers look like per day. We're going to look for trends. Is that up on Mondays? Is that up on Fridays? Is that up? Is there a time period in the day where those are higher? Can we do something about it? Is that right after lunch? Do we need to take a whole class? We're going to look at those trends and see, are there any things that we can do to kind of use that data to make us better? So, the last thing we're going to talk about, tomorrow is Barricade Pride Day in middle school. I think I haven't heard of any other schools doing anything. We were talking today with their auditors, and they said that is new. We've never heard of that. But what Barricade Pride Day is a day that your students, your children, our students, just takes pride in being a walk, run, and barricade. So it's not about test scores. It's not about attendance rates. It's not about behavior. It's just about, let's take pride in who we are. Our kids love that. We've been doing this for, I'm going to guess, over 10 years. It's a fun day. It's a fun-filled activity day for kids. But we make no bones about it. It's all about having fun. It's all about celebrating who you are and our school. And, that's one of those things that we got to look for as a district. We take pride in what we do, where we live, where kids go to school, where you live, but we got to remember, we got to remind kids, look around you, this school is great. This school is well taken care of. We have everything that we need in our building. We have technology, we have all of the stuff. So let's take pride and let's just have fun with it. So that's a big deal to me. I love that day. So, questions? Man, y'all never had questions.
I love Barricade Pride Day.
Yeah, and you're all more than welcome to come out. Even if it's for, an hour or two, you're more than welcome. Just like you're more than welcome as you see the Halloween dances coming up. I'd love to see your faces out doing a little volunteer work on that.
Can we come in costume?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be school appropriate.
Check the rest of the code of conduct. I will keep that in mind.
Now, you're more than at all of our events. You guys, you're more than welcome to come out. I think most of you know because your kids have done it. Your kids have participated in it, and you know what it's about. And when we have new members, I'm going to encourage them the same way. If you haven't seen it from your kids' point of view, get in and see it from your own point of view. But good times here at the middle school. But we are growing too. Not asking for a teacher tonight, but that probably comes soon too. Questions?
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
Nash?
A little bit different look to the board report this month. What you see in front of you is a part of our new schedule at the high school. We put this plan into motion well over a year ago, talking to people involved, trying to figure out what we need at our school to provide us a time to get more contact time with the students, with their teachers that they need. We can't rely on summer school, we can't rely on a computer program to make our kids better. They need time with a teacher. And one of the things that we heard from the teachers is we need time with the kids who need us. Some of the kids have mastered that content. We need to focus on the ones that can. So we started gathering some input from our department heads, our teachers. We did a lot of time looking at other schedules, reading about what works. And basically what you see in the fancy realm of this is a response to intervention system, the Kentucky MTSS system. But for us, we had to put our own spin on it and make it right for our school. So what we did is we adjusted the bell time and we included a new time in our schedule. And those 3 periods happen on different days. They're called Focus, Flex, and Engage. One of the things that we started off with is we had some survey data that started to show years ago 98% of our kids in our school had to go to adult classes for 80 kids. Now with 150 kids, we have new kids all the time. They showed that they started to report that they didn't have that go-to adult. So we had to give them an adult. We had to give them somebody that they knew. We have administrators and counselors and teachers and all that, but they needed their person. So we came up with this idea of focus, and every teacher has a focus, the librarian has a focus, Ms. Champion, the Learning Lab has a focus. We tried to get as many adults as we could. We gave about 15, 16 kids. Those kids and that teacher meet on Mondays, and they will be that kid's focus teacher for the remainder of their high school career. So they will move from freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior. And in that period, that's where we are taking things like the ILP. And we are putting that in there. We're doing some career exploration. We're doing some things like, we started off, we kind of kept them confined for 10 days in that 30-minute window, going over every single school rule, expectation, e-hall pass, how to check your email, how to get into the campus and see your missing work through the classroom. Then what we did is that would grow into things where we have to put stuff, Kyle will send us something that says the KHSA needs this survey out. Okay, well, instead of taking instruction time, English teachers, I need you to stop what you're doing and do this. No. We are going to protect the instructional time of our teachers, and we will take care of any housekeeping and procedural things in our focus period. We're also doing our social emotional learning in there, where our counselors are putting lessons together, and we have that individual learning plan will take place in there as well. The flex period is a flexible time in the kids' schedule on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. This is using a program called SOS. The kids can go in, the teachers make workshops. So I'm offering a workshop on Algebra 2 remediation. I'm offering a workshop on Test 1 corrections for biology. You got a test coming up in physical science. That teacher's going to offer that. And the kids go in, they can plan their week out, they have choice, trying to teach them some of those, processing choice things, that frontal lobe, and they can make some decisions. And if we have some kids that maybe don't make a good decision of where they need to be, the teachers can physically assign them. There's all kinds of different level of restrictions, all the way from open, meaning anybody in the school can take that person's workshop. They can limit it down to that teacher. That student has to have that teacher to take that workshop. Or a teacher can say, I'm closed and I want these 14 kids because I identified they need to go over this math test, this science lesson, whatever it is. And then too, the focus of that is to get the students who don't need that remedial work, give them different opportunities. So we're very unproductive, in my opinion. Guests coming in at lunchtime to talk to students, college recruiters. So we're able to put those into workshop sessions, and kids can go to those sessions and have 30 minutes with a college recruiter, 30 minutes with an Amazon representative, 30 minutes with a military recruiter, and bring those options in. And I've challenged a lot of our staff to start coming up with more engagement activities. So kind of that thing, I love like law enforcement, that type of stuff. So I'm in contact with the FBI right now to send us an agent to talk to us what it is like to be a special agent in the FBI. Opening up different career opportunities for the kids to see that in that managed time frame, while our content specialists are working with the kids to remediate the deficiencies that they may have in the class. The third one, the blue one, engage, is just that. Kids gotta be engaged in school. If they don't like school, they're not gonna apply themselves other places. So another challenge we laid down was we had about 11 clubs that we offered. We are now over 35 different clubs and opportunities for kids to get involved, and that is an opportunity for them to form that relationship with the teacher outside of the academic setting where they can create that bond, that connection to other kids and the teacher, and try to find that thing. We know kids that love the band come to school for the band. I did FFA. Kids that love ag, they want to come to be an FFA. We had kids that didn't have anything, nothing at all. So we created a bunch of opportunities. Students made suggestions, and we created those clubs with teachers sponsoring them, trying to find that avenue for our kids to get engaged. In the program we use, SOS, was actually, the gentleman who created that was a former Boone County teacher. He did a bunch of visits with Boone County, and he said, I just happen to think I can write this program. And he did, and we bought it. We're one of like 10 schools using it now. The thing I love about that is we can email him some suggestions, and depending on how hard it is to code that into the system, it'll be in the system within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to fit our needs as a school. Any questions about Flex, Focus, or Engage?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So first, I love this. So thank you to everyone who's put their time and effort into this. I think it's great. My two-part question is, how did we pair up the student to the teacher? And then two, if that person maybe still isn't comfortable with the teacher that they're assigned, is there an opportunity to switch teachers, and how does one go about that?
It was a multi-tiered process. So we started with random assignments. So what I did is I asked the teachers what level they want to be in. Strategically, if I know somebody's going to be retiring within 2 years, let's put them with a junior so they can age out with that kid who's going to graduate. Then we randomly assigned the kids to the teachers. Part of this is September 15th, we got to give a lesson on suicide prevention. That kid's not going to listen to a suicide prevention lesson from a teacher that they haven't bonded, right? Or they have a previous engagement with that teacher where maybe it's not the best relationship. So what we did is we gave the teachers the rosters during one of our teacher planning days. They were able to say, as a team of 10th grade teachers, like, listen, me and this child, we kind of had an incident last year, or this was a result of this. We're oil and water, or we don't, this is my friend's child, maybe I don't want, something like that. So they were able then to take, I'll give you this student, if you take this student, kind of mesh them together. It's not going to work if the kid doesn't buy into what that teacher's saying. But we needed to have a starting point, and that's where we are. Was that both of your parts of your questions?
So if someone wants to switch, is there that possibility, and how do they go about doing that? Would that be a conversation with you, with counselors?
Conversation with me, counselors, all that, yes. We have to, we're creating essentially a house, a Harry Potter type format, where they need to be able to do that. But yes, they can have a conversation, but I don't really see it as something where you're trading players on a fantasy football team. These are kids that we're trying to form connections with and through there. But yes, if the child is not, they are tone deaf to what that teacher is saying, everything we do in that period is for them.
Okay, thank you.
As the school population grows, is the plan to add additional instructors to the focus, or to just expand the roster of the current teachers by a certain number of kids?
Well, I have tapped everybody that I could twist an arm to do a focus. So as we get there, if we hire a new teacher, they would obviously be given a focus period to start with from there. Right now, our size in there is about 15 to 17, depending on the class, staff, all that stuff. So, yeah, we would continue to add that. But right now, I think I have just about everybody that I can coerce to get there. Yes.
Okay, and then I just wanted to touch on the Engage. Like, I've heard nothing but great things about that. I think teachers seem to be really excited about it, and the clubs have grown tremendously from the beginning to where they are now. Do you have plans for any type of like exit survey or something for the kids and the teachers that come out of this, and like, yeah, we want to continue this program, or we'd like to expand something else next year?
Yeah, the numbers are telling us, so every week we can compile data on the SOS system. We put a number of seats available for that club, and then kids join, first they register themselves to that club for that week. So we're seeing real time who's filling up, who isn't. We've already made some adjustments. The one club, that one teacher, it's full, and the next week it was full, so we had to do an AB day. But yes, definitely do that, and we have a site-based policy about what would constitute to make a club. So anybody that comes with an idea and they have a teacher to sponsor that, and they go through the site-based process, we would look at that.
Great, thank you.
Really challenging teachers to kind of like a passion project type approach to that. So we have, of course, the FFA, FBLA, the national clubs, but then we have just some time to get to know a kid and let them make those connections. Anybody else?
I think it's great, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Well, Haley's going to be right. I just say.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, October's Principal Appreciation Month, our principals have all just shared some different things that are going on in the schools. And I just want to just individually thank Luke. I met with your PTA officers recently, and through COVID, obviously, her involvement kind of lagged. And it's been great to see the calendar with all the events and see all the parents in the building during the school day. It's great to see. The middle school, I was in the faculty meeting this morning, and a lot of the discussion was about Bearcat Pride Day, and I love how the faculty is taking the lead on that and taking ownership. I think that's one of the hallmarks of a good school. And Adam, it's already been stated, but the amount of work you put in to the new schedule at the high school it is significant. And I want to recognize that you did start on this a year ago, and you did it the right way. You started winning teachers over. And that's part of the reason this is a success. So I'm very happy with the things we have going on in our schools this year. And it's really gratifying to see things progressing in the way that they are. So I just want to thank all of you. And we'll do something a little more formal for Principals Appreciation Month here soon. But I just want to recognize that we do have good things going on in your schools.
Okay. I'm going to talk about preschool and what seems to be the theme of the night, growth. I did provide you with just a breakdown of our numbers, but just real quickly, our enrollment right now is at 84. We've got 4 at-risk and a total of 56 students with disabilities, and then 19 that are classified as other. So then there's also that breakdown of the class sizes.
Hold on, Caitlin. How many years?
9.
Thank you.
We did complete another round of screenings last Friday. 17 were screened, so we will be adding 2 more students based on an income and an existing disability, and then there are 5 more that are entering into RTI. So we'll know more after they complete the RTI process. And then some upcoming things, we're in the works, working on a field trip to a pumpkin patch. And then also this week we started with what we're calling the Little Bearcat Club, where we have some students from the high school that come down, they plan a lesson, and then they complete a lesson in each of the classrooms with the kids. So they did that yesterday. Both sets of kids, the high schoolers and the high schoolers. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
What is our maximum number?
Well, so we can have 20 per class.
What are preschoolers? Okay. Thank you.
Let's September, as you can see there, our numbers, we're currently serving 13 students. As of right now, everything seems to be going very well. We've already had 2 of those students get their 22 credits and earned a diploma, so we were extremely excited about that. I think the report you're looking at, probably this one here says 1, but that number is actually 2 as of today. And we've had a lot of success by some of the other students as well. The number in the middle there, their celebrations, we've actually had, that number's been updated too. That's 27 courses passed by 8 different students. So we're off and running, feeling really good about this particular group. They all seem to be just good kids and seem to be in there for the right reasons. And we're hoping to be able to help them out. So far, so good. So at that point, we will, okay, any questions about the curriculum?
Does your 13 include the 2 that just graduated?
It does, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I haven't taken them off yet.
Okay.
Ready for that? Okay, moving on to the attendance and enrollment. Yes, as Caitlin said, the theme tonight is numbers. And so at the end of month 1, they continue their reign of dominance. Our middle school, once again, takes home the attendance trophy, or keeps the attendance trophy for the month. Outpacing the elementary and high school by just a little bit, but good job middle school, good job to all of our schools. Those of you who can't see that, that's a 97.25% attendance rate, so good job there. And attendance month 2 ends tomorrow. So we'll, by the time we get to the next board's meeting, we will have those numbers ready to roll for you. Our overall enrollment numbers there, as you can see, we were at 19,921 kids in the whole district. That includes preschool. And as of yesterday, we were +1, so 1922. So we dropped a few in one of our schools, and as you heard, the elementary gained a few. So we were +1 at this point. That's not it for the attendance.
Any questions for Ron?
I would just like to add some detail if I could. I went, in looking at these numbers, it was sobering, I think is the correct word. So I went back and looked at month 1 in 2018. Try to put this in perspective for the Arkansas district. At the end of month 1 in 2018, we had 607 students in our elementary school. We're now at 733, so we've gained 126 students in our elementary school in 4 years. Our middle school was at 518, they're now at 548, so we've gained 30 students at the middle school. High school's actually lost a few students. They had 564 month 1 of 2018, they're now at 551, so they've lost 13 students. However, our senior class is the smallest class in our district. There are about 120 students in that senior class, so once they graduate and other students, the 8th graders move up, the enrollment at the high school will certainly increase there. But as a district, we were at 1,689 students 4 years ago at the end of month 1. We're now at 1,921 students. We've gained a total of 232 students in 4 years. And that certainly presents challenges, and we're all aware of that. But I think I just wanted to share that day with the board. We've enrolled 40 students since the start of the school year. At the end of the first day of school, our enrollment was 1881. So, you know, we are, as has been stated, we are growing, and that does present challenges. That is, you know, personally, I'm obligated to to serve this board and make recommendations that meet the needs of our students. And that's what we'll try to do as we work through some of these challenges.
Before I go, is it okay to say a couple words about today's safety
Sure.
safety audit that we had? Today, our high school and middle school were visited, as you heard Troy mention in his report, the Center for School Safety, otherwise known as KCSS. They actually sent 2 different teams, one to our high school and one to our middle school, to independently kind of review our procedures and interview staff, students, and also parents. And through all of that, they go through their checklist and their look-fors, and they will be producing a report for us, which will come out hopefully next month, and they will we'll be able to present that at the next board meeting, hopefully. And we may even be able to have one of their representatives do that for us. But they were here bright and early, first thing this morning before the first bus got here, and left as the buses were leaving this afternoon, and did everything they needed to do. I think they interviewed somewhere in the range of almost 100 students, and a few less staff members and a few less parents from that, but it was a full day of interviewing and analyzing all of their data that they had. Before that, they actually sent out an online survey as well that parents, students, and staff could take as well. So they're comparing kind of what people are saying against how people responded on the survey. It's one of their measures that they use. But they had a very short debrief with us at the very end of the day. And at those debriefs, they generally will give you some attaboys, commendations. They will give you a few points to consider for improvement, and they will give you a few things that were just sort of head scratchers. Those would be things where possibly their survey data didn't quite line up with what their interview data would suggest. So overall, we had a glowing report, I thought, from both campuses. No huge glaring issues that we absolutely have to drop everything and fix right now. They are kind of superficial things that aren't going to terribly affect kids right now, but we will be working on those things. And we'll wait for their report to come out here in a few short weeks. But overall, a positive experience. The teams were great to work with, and I should also mention, we had to sign up to do that. That's not something that they just tell you you're getting an audit. We had to ask for it. So the last one we did was in 2015. So as soon as this year concludes, we'll be looking to possibly have them at our elementary school next year if they can fit us in. So that's about all I've got to say about the audit. Are there any questions about that? Anything you'd like to move further? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next is superintendent non-work days, if everybody got a chance to look at that. Next is the construction report. Did everybody look at it? Anything for Jeremy? Jeremy, any highlights you want to hit on, or?
Just waiting on playground equipment. Waiting on a lot of stuff. I did want to say something about the intermediate school timeline. A couple of the construction companies, they actually were flexible on the end of that timeline, which obviously we are doing now, they're going to school in December. And they said that was going to make it a lot better, probably generate a more positive attitude toward the bidding. I believe the big contractors picked up the packets, which is typically more than we get. He said it's a very desirable project, so I feel like that might work in our favor.
Any questions for Jeremy on any of this? Thanks, Jeremy. Personnel, did you guys get a chance to look at that? Looks like we're doing great on the stuff front. Audience of citizens, there are none, so we'll move into the recommended board motions. First is the minutes. First, the approval of the minutes from August 25th, 2022.
You good?
First by Heather, discussion or questions? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David, all in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval of the minutes for September 15th, 2022. First by Heather, discussions or questions? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David, all in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval of the August 2022 superintendent expense report.
I'll make it.
Did you say yes? I said, is there first?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear, sorry. Discussions or questions? Is there a second? I'll make the second. All in favor? 2, all opposed? 1, motion dies 2-1. Next is approval of the treasury report.
Make it.
First by David. Discussions or questions? Is there a second? Second by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval of the order of treasurer of the bills.
Make it.
Heather, or just David, I'm sorry. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next, the approval of the working budget for 2022 to 2023. By Heather. Mr. Kevin, do you have something you want to share with us?
Yeah, I can go over this at length, or we can keep it quick. I don't know, you know.
Page by page.
What's that?
Page by page.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be here for it. So the working budget obviously is kind of the final version of the budget that we started in January and approved again in May. Tightened up a few, you know, we have actual salaries versus estimated salaries. We have savings from retirees versus their replacements, so we know what those are now. And then we have staff that's been added along the way between those meetings. So if you want to jump down to expenses on instruction, we're up about $79,000 from the tentative budget, and that was from some added positions that we had that have been approved, and I believe there are 2 positions tonight that are also included in these numbers, so that if they are approved, we don't have to redo the budget. The student support service, we added a part-time psychologist. That was one that was approved, I think, at the May meeting where we approved the tentative budget, but that was like happened kind of last minute. It wasn't included in that number. The rest of them are kind of, you know, some minor changes. I will point out that other district administrative support, that number is down, and some of that money went to instruction. And what that is for a lot of our PD expenses since the beginning of, you know, putting the information in the munis back in the late 90s, has been coded to the district office. While some of that is attributable to the district office, not all of it is. Most of it is attributable to the schools. So that was moved out. The legislature has kind of poked around a couple of different times about wanting to see, you know, what we spend as a district office or non-instructional things. So we put those things back in instruction where they belong. And so that'll be just a change, you know, going forward. And so it's the same amount of money, it just moves where it appears. And then that also impacts school report cards, so those funds are more appropriately reported, you know, for instruction instead of other things for just district-wide. Plant operation and management is up a little bit. We had, you know, some minor utility increases. In May, I don't know what all of the final energy costs for that year are because the year's not over yet. We don't get those bills until July. So like this building, for example, we increased the budget, I think, by $5,000 for electricity because electricity's gone up and we had to take care of that. We also had some turnover with staff, with custodians and things like that changed those numbers. Student transportation is one. You can see we're up from the tentative budget by about $31,000. That is almost entirely attributed to a new position that we're asking for tonight for an additional route, salary and benefits, community services, debt service and transfers are the same. All told, about 77,000 up from the tentative budget for the general fund. We had some other positions that were approved for about that same amount that went into Fund 2, which is in here as well, but not on the cover page. You know, this one-page summary is just general fund. Those things we had grant funds to pay for doesn't really impact our bottom line if that's how you want to look at it. To pay for those things up top, you can see the beginning balance that we're estimating for the year increase. That's just kind of a balancing number. The bulk of it came from miscellaneous income. I increased the budget for interest earned. Interest rates are favorable for that at least. And I think we had 15,000 budgeted there. We've already taken in August and September, or July, August, and September about $30,000. So we'll be well over that number. But those are kind of things that, you know, how we pay for that increase in expenses there. Contingency is still the same amount it was last year. The percentage is listed there as well. Personnel expenses, you know, are just compared to a working budget last year. Those are from all the positions that have been added, not just the ones since the tentative. It also includes staff raises, rank and step increases. Personnel expense percentage as a percentage of the overall budget is slightly up by 0.04%. And we're still well above, or well below, excuse me, the 8% number that we kind of maintain as our high watermark that we want to see. So with that, you know, pretty standard stuff. Any questions?
Can you remind me, did we go ahead and slate the school bus purchase and?
Yeah, so the school bus purchase, it wasn't an add-on. We've had that in the budget for, I won't quote you the number of years. We have a bus purchase in the budget every year now, unless we take it out. There were several years, like back in 2008, the area, where things got tight and we pulled it out. So we didn't have one, but it's included in there. It keeps pitching a little higher every year, but so does everything else.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. All in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval for additional special education assistant position at the Walton Vernon Elementary School.
I'll make it.
First by David. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval for the additional full-time bus driver position.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. All in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval of school food service director job description.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval for the fiscal year 23 school bus purchase authorization.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. All in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval of a van driver.
I'll make it.
First by David. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval of change order 2, Walton Vernon Schools paving 2022.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Approval to pay application 2, Walton Vernon Schools paving 2022.
I'll make it.
First by David. Discussions or questions? Is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is FMLA leave. Acknowledgement receipt of the superintendent's personal actions regarding FMLA leave, see personnel employee, number 1316.
I'll make it.
First by Heather. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is the acknowledgement receipt of the superintendent's personnel actions regarding FMLA leave, see personnel employee, number 982.
Make it.
Moved by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is acknowledgement receipt of the superintendent's personnel actions regarding FMLA leave, ski personnel employee number 1106.
Make it.
First by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is shortened school day waiver for special education students at the Walton Bryan Elementary School. First is the approval for a shortened school day waiver for student A.
I'll make it.
First by David, is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is the approval for a shortened school day waiver for student B.
I'll make it.
First by David, is there a second?
I'll make it.
Second by Heather, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is approval of field trips.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, discussions or questions on this? Is there a second?
Second.
David, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next is adjournment.
I'll make it.
First by Heather, is there any discussions or questions about this? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. It is 7:57, we are adjourned. Thank you guys for coming, sticking with us the whole time.